Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I hope this video finds you well, and I hope that you're having a fantastic evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I am in such a good mood right now, and you will be too by the end of this video. We finally have a president that is not afraid to stand up to the swamp. We finally have a president that does not want to be best friends with all the world leaders, but just wants to make America great and rich again. We finally have a president that cares more about the American taxpayer and the American consumer than he does about his European allies and NATO and Ukraine. We finally have a president that will stand up to rhinos and to the far left extremists, call them out on their bluff, and they literally crumble. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a good day to be a Donald Trump supporter. As soon as you're in, do me a huge favor. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed with bell notifications on. Leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from? You interacting with the live stream and the video really helps with the algorithm and to beat the, commie tube overlords that like to censor, but I don't know why. I'm just a good guy. Ladies and gentlemen, and before we continue, just a quick shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to Verity Metals. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the golden age of the United States of America. And Verity Metals is the company that will help you preserve your wealth through physical constitutional gold and silver, like this roll of 21 ounce American Silver Eagles. Call or text 480-717-9081. Mention me. Get free silver. You can't beat that. Protect your money, support the show, support a patriot company, and get free silver. That's a win-win-win-win. Let's continue, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we're talking about the Democrats threatening to shut down Donald Trump's government. See, Chuck Schumer was all over the news, standing on the Senate floor, screaming, "We're going to shut it down. We're going to shut down the government." Trump said, "Oh, yeah? Then we're going to call it the Schumer shutdown. If you want to shut down the government, we're going to call it the Schumer shutdown." Well, the Democrats backed up. No government shutdown, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you this. I'm going to jump right onto my Twitter page. And ladies and gentlemen, where is it? What? Wrong Twitter page. Here we go. This is Chuck Schumer just moments ago.
Republican rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision. It's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse.
Oh, yeah?
For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option.
But you're still going to vote for it.
It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option.
So he goes on to say, we're going to vote. And ladies and gentlemen, this by Steve Bannon, quick breakdown, a minute and 56-second breakdown is amazing. The Democrats caved to MAGA. The Democrats broke to MAGA. Donald Trump has broken the Democrat Party. There's no coming back from this. They don't have a leader. They don't have a vision. They don't have support. They're cooked.
You have just heard an absolutely stunning surrender by Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor in a very weak and sad speech. I mean, this means that the Democrats that had, for a Schumer shutdown, had all the possibilities of shutting down President Trump's government, have really just acquiesced to the Republican position. It's absolutely stunning. And 24 hours ago, all they were doing is smack talk after smack talk after smack talk. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump's government is not going to shut down tomorrow night at midnight. Chuck Schumer has collapsed. And I don't know if Mark Kelly came out earlier and said he was a no. If Murphy's a yes in Connecticut, I think that ends his 28 campaign. I don't see how anybody on the Democratic side votes to side with the Republicans, because I know Fetterman doesn't have any presidential ambitions. How they can justify a national campaign. Let me repeat this. The Democratic Senate has just surrendered to President Trump. The government will remain open tomorrow at midnight. The temporary CR has passed. Remember, we hate the CR. It's the Biden budget, $2 trillion. None of the Doge numbers in there. But this audience agreed, right? We had the backs of the Congressman, the House Freedom Caucus. All the members hung together, Berkshire, because as bad as it is, it was more important. President Trump says, I need this government to stay open. We have much more to do on Doge, but he says, I've also got all these other things I'm working on, war and peace and with Putin and all of it. He made a request. He came out on Truth Social many times, also talked to people around him, and we would echo that and tell you we were not a fan of this. In fact, we hate it, but for the good of the team, what President Trump felt he needed at the time.
So you see that, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats caved. They literally caved and broke to Trump, to the Republicans, and to this budget. Now, I'm not a big fan of this budget. I'm not a big fan of, the debt ceilings and everything that's in it. But I trust Trump. And he said this is the best that they have to work with right now. And he said, we need this so that the MAGA train keeps moving. The MAGA America First agenda keeps going forward. But ladies and gentlemen, there's two more clips I want to play you. One of them is this one. This is Eric Schmidt, right? Senator, telling us why the Democrats are afraid of Doge.
And let me just opine just for a second on why my Democrat colleagues on the other side are so nervous about all this Doge stuff. It's because this racket that's been used to launder taxpayer dollars to their buddies and their left-wing radical groups, the gravy train is stopping.
That's right.
And it's terrifying to them, but to normal people in real America, they think this stuff is crazy. And finally, we have somebody in the Oval Office with a team who can root this stuff out. So keep going.
That's right.
We're just getting started with this stuff.
That's right.
And we'll be back next week with more ridiculous things that the Democrats want funded with your taxpayer dollars. I yield back, Mr. President.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Democrats are afraid because their gravy train done, over with. But not only is Trump, Elon Musk, and the Doge team stopping the gravy train, they are also exposing the gravy train. They are exposing the recipients of the gravy train. They are exposing those who gave handouts from the gravy train. They are exposing the traitors of the United States of America. I want to play you one more clip. This is of our amazing vice president, and I believe he will be president in time, doing an interview and just really shortly talks about our debt. And pay attention to this. Pay attention how he talks about the American citizen, the American taxpayer, the American working man and woman, and just the American people. When was the last time you heard any president or leader talk about us this way?
Europe doesn't have the cards here. As President Trump likes to say, when you have actually penalized American companies and American workers, as the EU has for years, we're actually fighting back for the first time. But Laura, we have a $1 trillion trade deficit. We absorb
largest
all
ever
the terrible economic policies from all over the world, and the world expects American consumers to foot the bill for their workers and their businesses, and Donald Trump is flipping that on its head. We are not going to do this anymore. We cannot run an economy where Americans borrow, go into debt to buy things that other people make for us. We're going to make it in America. We have to. Europe.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, I endorse J.D. Vance for President of the United States 2028. JD Vance has my full and total endorsement. When was the last time outside of Trump you heard somebody speak about Americans like that? Who say it is not the American taxpayers' responsibility to, pay Europe's debt, or it is not the American soldiers' responsibility to protect Europe. It is not our problem. Your war, your problem. Your border, your problem. See, the world got used to America taking their worst, because trust me, nobody's sending us their doctors. Nobody's sending us their super rich billionaire businessmen and entrepreneurs. They're keeping them. They're sending us the criminals, the MS-13s, the people from prison and mental institutions. We're getting those, but they're keeping the best, giving us the worst. They're not sending us their money. Their soldiers are not dying for our freedom. But it's only the American soldier that goes overseas to die for somebody else's land. It is only the American taxpayer that subsidizes the entire world. It is only the American intelligence industry that helps Ukraine. But when Ukraine needs something, no, they kill our journalists while we give them money. They steal our taxpayer dollars and then sell the weapons we give them to our enemies, like the Mexican cartel. Look, and I want to kind of finish it off with this. I know, and I get this. Well, Vlad, you're an immigrant. I know I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was only 6 years old, but we came here legally. We knocked on the door. We filled out all the paperwork. We waited in line. When my parents started with our immigration process, I was just like, I was 1 year old. By the time we went through the whole process and came here, I was just 5 months away from turning 7. So it was over 4 years that we knocked and we waited. And then when we said, come on in, we came here legally. In just over a week, my father started working a roofing job for minimum wage. At night, my mother and my brothers would go delivering newspapers, right? It was a start. From there, we built small businesses. And about 7 or 8 years from that, we became citizens. We employ American hands. We pay taxes to the American government. You will never see me fly a Russian flag, Ukrainian flag, Kyrgyz flag, nothing. American flag only. Only. And I think the problem today is we've gotten the worst that don't know how to appreciate when they have an opportunity, because America became, my point is, America became the country of just handouts and letting their soldiers go and die for other countries. These new immigrants are different. They expect America to just give them money and give them food stamps and give them housing and give them assistance. America owes you nothing, but you owe everything to this country. The United States of America owes me nothing. I owe everything to this country because I know what it's like being hungry for the first 6 years of your life, not knowing what oranges are for the first 6 years of your life, not knowing that there's an abundance of grocery stores with chocolates and candies and ice creams. I know what that's like. So America owes me nothing, because what America gives to those who come here and inspire for something better is something that no other country in the world can give them: opportunity. And if you come here legally and you want opportunity, America says, here you go. Do whatever you want with your life. I give you the platform. But if you come here whining and crying and missing your country, get the hell out. Take your flags, take your patriotism of a foreign land, and go. And the sad part about it, I've said this to my relatives who are from Ukraine right to their face. I said, pack your bags, I'll take you to the airport. You're so patriotic, but the front line is 5,000 miles away. What the hell are you doing here? I'm for the biggest deportation this country has ever seen. I'm for it. Because sadly, I'll tell you, even around Thanksgiving table last year, I had a heated conversation with a few people where I told them, you're my family, I love you, but you don't deserve this country. You don't deserve this nation. You don't deserve the opportunities that are here. You think America owes you something, it owes you nothing. Owes you nothing. This is why I love this nation. That's why I'll never be quiet about this nation. That's why I'll never shut up. That's why I'll never back down. That's why I'll never surrender. Ladies and gentlemen, this nation, and I am so happy that we finally have a vice president and a president talking and acting like it, who says no more handouts. The world looks at us as a piggy bank and what are those places called? Like if we had to go there first couple of years of when we came to the United States, food banks. Food banks. The world thinks the United States is a food bank and a piggy bank. We're not. We're not. And Europe was created to screw the United States. Look, Israel, great. I love the people of Israel. I have relatives that live in Israel. But do you know that the Israeli government just expects us to subsidize their military? The Israeli military expects us to just give them our most modern weapons. And the reason why we are in the situation is because previous presidents have been weak. They have been cowards. They put immigrants, illegal immigrants first. They put other countries first. And they taught the world, hey, America, you can push her around. You can treat her any way you want. You can ask for whatever you want and you will get it. Previous presidents and vice presidents and leaders in the Senate and Congress have taught that the United States is a pushback country. Not anymore. And if you're just doubting that what I'm saying is true, listen to this. 7 months ago, when the Republicans and Democrats both approved to send another $61 billion to Ukraine, what did we see in Congress? Did we see American flags flying? No. Every single one of those dirtbags pulled out a Ukrainian flag inside the United States Congress and started waving it around. Is that normal? No. What message were they sending? We're a pushback country. Have your little candy nose addicted midget dictator in a green clown suit fly in, make a little speech, propaganda tour speech, 61 billion. Here you go. That is the gravy train that the senator was talking about, and it stops. It's done. It's over with. The kickbacks, done. But ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning. We have some real gangsters in the White House. My president was shot in the ear, stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea for the red MAGA hat with the wording fight, fight, fight came from the fact that my president was shot in the ear for the whole world to witness. And instead of running away and cowering, he stood back up and said, fight, fight, fight. And just 3 days later, he was at the RNC making his acceptance speech. That's a gangster. My vice president, J.D. Vance, grew up with no father, mom addicted to drugs. He was supposed to be another drug addict, low life, drop out, maybe spend the rest of his life in prison. No. He joins the military. He fights for this country. Then he becomes a U.S. state senator, and now he's the vice president, and he will be president in the future. That's a gangster. I'm not talking about like street gangster. It's that toughness inside. It's the heart. It's the cojones. It's the mental toughness. It's that I don't care what anybody says about me. I know what I believe in and I know what I stand for. And I don't walk around trying to please others. I'm trying to do what's best for those that I care about. That is a leader. That right there is not only a tough leader, a great leader, that's even a biblical leader, because the Bible tells us that when a leader is wicked and weak, the people cry. The people are in hardships. But when a leader is wise and strong, the people rejoice. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed with bell notifications on. God bless you guys. Have a great evening. Stay tuned. I'll see you soon.